Council on Monday the 15th of August 2022. First item agenda, apologies for absence.
We have apologies from DLA, and we have apologies for voting and came through our email, which I think went to Charlie, and also I've just had apologies from John too. He's not going to remember that he was going to come along.
Right, any declarations of interest?
No, but I will do apologies for the name.
Apology accepted. No more declarations of interest. Right. Item 4, public participation.
Jane Dash from Matchmaking First. I've come and you will forgive me because you probably received my email about my absolute concerns about safe people and building North of Carver Lane. And as much as I have many objections, which I've been up at all different times, but this evening, my main objection is the roads. Because I think when the planning was first passed, it was 16 or 17, it went through in pieces. And I don't think anybody actually got on at the time to know what impact this is going to have. Now, if you look at the full picture, you've got 15 houses that are going to come down into Honeysuckle Way. I've simply drawn the picture, Honeysuckle Way. You're going to have another 11 houses coming to Snapdragon Close. 30 odd houses coming through Briny Way, which is at the moment a cul-de-sac, and the rest coming sadly out onto the Car Road. With the new road coming round the back and moving into the 2-1 road at this side, but the original Car Lane coming down Snapdragon, and then new people coming off into Honeysuckle. It's going to create a complete bottleneck because people from the north of Snapdragon will be able to come down left and left again in Honeysuckle, probably out onto Blackthorn Road. People from the north of Honeysuckle will be able to come down, go left, right, this way round to get back out to go towards town from the school. Meanwhile, Briny Way, 30 odd friends are going to come down this way and then up through Honeysuckle and go up towards Castlane Blackthorn Road. And at the moment, Honeysuckle Way is already congested completely at weekends and in the evenings, and the potential for road rage, accidents, chaos is completely there. And I really think the roads need to be re-looked at, and if possible, the road that they're building at the back of the new houses comes somehow onto Carver Lane and keeps the cul-de-sacs as they are currently at the moment. So also the additional problem, which I will mention, is that they're building on the floodplain. So you don't know what damage, what this is going to bring onto the roads with flooding. There are, I think, 3 pumping stations going in, but the pumping stations fail. That could bring more problems. And that's without all of the other additional environmental issues of Carver Lane itself. And actually, what is going to happen to the lane in the future? Is it going to be pretty and lovely and full of trees, or is it going to be flat? And nobody has actually ever addressed how Carver Lane will look when all this building work is done, or indeed who's going to pay for what Carver Lane will look like in the future. And that's what I'd like you to consider if you don't want to do.
Well, planning issues, as you're aware, is obviously Breckland Council.
Yeah.
We as a council, as a full council, not necessarily just the Environment Committee, we would vote or comment on planning applications as they come in. You've obviously made your points to Breckland. We will obviously briefly see your email, which has been forwarded to us. It would be something that we could look at, but it's not something that we as a council would have any jurisdiction over.
But your voice as councillors and you being the environmental committee, I would rather that the environmental committee and council were aware of what's going on within town council area, rather than being ignorant and wait until it happens and then
So your concern is over Carver's Lane and
Honeysuckle Way and general development of that. Yeah.
well, what I could say is that we will obviously look into what you've said. Whether we have any kind of influence over planning applications that have already been passed, probably not. But we'll look into your complaint and see if there's anything that we can add to your thing. Councillor Leslie?
I'm aware that the current developer has asked for communication with the town council at some point. We can perhaps invite them to that. It'll probably be closed session, as sometimes these things are. We can certainly forward the information that you provided with us, the comments by the developers.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. Councillor Taylor, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, obviously, like you said, it would be planning that is due from the full council. But yeah, we could give our comments and objections to that council if we see fit. And also, although it's not a practice that we regularly exercise, a member or officer of the council could go and speak at Blackland against the application.
I just want to thank you for coming this to our attention, and I think you've outlined different developments going on and how you as a resident are concerned how they're all going to interact. And these, I think we can try and help you understand, you know, first of all, that this has been looked at, and as Councillor McKinnon has said, we don't actually have any jurisdiction, but we can certainly try and help understand. The second thing is, thank you for bringing it, the environmental issues to our to us, but with developers are always encouraged to look at the environmental issues. So perhaps that's another area that we could let you know what their plans are for landscaping, etc. Because it is a pretty lane, Carver's Lane, and I can understand the concerns.
And also, sorry, and also your concerns over the floodplain. There will be mitigating things put into place, but we could find out about that.
There's also concerns actually, I forgot to mention, first of all, about security in writing, which I have contacted, I've got the person's job title again, but it's the crime prevention officer from Constabulary, who's inspected the site but not the surrounding area. So we have got a complete lack of lighting in that area, so there's quite a few security issues, but obviously that doesn't come probably under your remit at all, because it's not environment, it's security, so that's just something to consider as well.
So something that we could you make a note that we will try and look into this from a full council point of view as well as an environment point of view.
Chair, one thing we can do when it comes to planning applications, we can highlight certain things, particularly highways is one area that we can ask for it to be looked at in detail rather than being vague about the application itself. That's one thing we can particularly ask to be looked at. But as was said before, Brexit is the planning authority. We can make comment, but highways is definitely something that we can pinpoint and make comments, so it'll go back forever.
I think the overall thing is that we want the development to enhance Attleborough, not to demolish it. Thank you. Thank you. Minutes of the Environment Committee on the 18th of July. Have we all read the minutes? Are we all in agreement? So I'd like to propose that we accept them. Councillor Lane, seconded Councillor Leslie. All in favour? Right. And Matable Rising. Restoration and replacement of London Road town sign. We've got that on the agenda. Road problem at Grosvenor Park. We did have an update from the clerk on that to say that they had now started to humanely trap some rats. So she was going to leave the thing into place for a time while. I don't know if there's any further update on that. No. But they have been trapped. Sorry.
No, but we received an email saying that she'd like to continue with the thing, and if we're all in agreement, I think some of it is fine. Do we need to formally put that into the agreement that they continue, that she continues to impact the operation?
I think that's operational, to be honest. And obviously, maybe the clerk can give us an update at the next meeting. See whether she's continued or discontinued it. Right. That's rising up there. Composting. Items for the next agenda: wildflowers and poppies and organelles and decoy, which we have on the agenda. Town sign update on welcome to Attleborough signs. Now, who would like to start? Anybody got any comments? We've had quotes through.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go after.
I mean, personally, I like the one with the curved top, green background. I think that one. Yeah, that's my personal thing. I think historic market town, because it is that's and obviously, I mean, and I've just she's put a comment here. Incorrect press use suggest recreate image on the Queen Square sign and we use new logo. I thought that was the town press. I don't know. Something you might use. Yeah.
Anybody else got any comments?
Yeah, some of these are quite large, so we're going to have to be careful about where we place them. I think we may have to have an option on some of the routing, particularly as I'm thinking about Old Buckingham route. There's not really many places that we could put that in the place where you're entering town current position. We may have to have a narrower version and a bigger version as an option.
It's got to go on land that we own.
Or have permission to use.
Or have permission to use.
Highways land,
It could also be on highways land. Yeah, with appropriate permission.
I just add that I prefer the historic market town one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing that I noticed. However small our market is, we've been a long-standing market town for several years. So what about other designs? Or were these the ones that everybody liked?
6A looks pretty plain. 6A looks pretty plain.
Yeah.
Could I just query, we were thinking at one time of having one with planters around. I don't know whether that was dismissed or whether that wasn't possible. It's difficult, I know, because Michelle isn't here, but there was one that we saw in the various options which actually had planters within it. And I don't know what happened to that.
I don't think it was ever formally dismissed. But I think the suggestion that I remember was that maintaining the plants in the planter might be a difficult thing, getting staff down there to water them.
Yeah. I was surprised to see that wasn't as an option, but it's not.
No.
Yeah, Councillor Winham?
I just think that what we've got to be mindful is the more tubs and on the outskirts, the more work and the harder it is to keep them maintained.
Yes,
Yeah, because
I think this was a
through-
discussion that we sort of had but never formalised. Sorry, councillor Ellis was first, then councillor Taylor.
Since when has everyone been replacing, we got cool air with a town sign on the square?
Yeah,
Why is that?
sorry?
Why is that? Was
Why is-
like anything we want to replace?
No,
We're not replacing the town sign on the square.
We
We're
are.
not replacing the town sign on the square. These are to replace, the, sign that was stamped, well, is beyond repair. And we decided not to, replace that because we have got one on the town square. And most places have only got one town sign. But to replace them with welcome to Attleborough signs on all of the approach roads into Attleborough. And that was decided, last meeting or the meeting before, a couple of meetings ago. And it was, the general consensus was welcome to Attleborough signs would be more appropriate, given the fact that we are expanding and we need to put welcome to Attleborough signs on the edge of Attleborough. Sorry, it's
On this last group, what come through an email this morning at 11 o'clock. Do you send a sign?
Yeah, no, I think they use it as a village centre sign, as a reference to the style of sign that we're replacing. Because we've got, we're unusual in the fact that we have two village
Two
centres.
centres.
Yeah,
you've
the
got
one,
the first sign
we are
down
not,
there.
we are not replacing the one in the square.
one in the square is,
Yeah, that's retained.
sorry, councillor Taylor.
Yeah, I was just going to say, going back to the previous meeting and discussion around the planters, I think it was said at that meeting that we've already done on the 4 entrance roads to the town a significant amount of bulb planting. And we could do more additional
Yeah.
planting around the
Bulbs are
feet
better
of them,
idea.
so where they're posted in, rather than having something that needs watering, we could put additional bulbs in the bottom,
That's a
so
good
in the
idea.
springtime, I know it's not all year round, but they would look lovely, and to add to that, Sunday morning, we actually placed an order for 2,000 bulbs, so if that
Oh,
is,
well.
yeah, if that is.
Sensible.
I just read through this again, sorry. Well, I read through it quickly earlier and I've read through it more properly at the moment. There is an outstanding quote. So the two quotes that we have at the moment are for these here. We can wait for the third one. The clerk has said that we're within our right to defer it if we want to. And if you want to make sure we've got all 3 quotes in before making a decision of this nature. But there's nothing as well to stop, because we did have a deadline for the quotations to come in. There's nothing to start making a decision tonight. I just wanted to make councillors aware of their option this evening. And there's nothing as well to stop us making an indicative design choice as well, should we want to tighten up any future quotes. So there's some options before councillors, so you don't have to feel
Yeah.
to make
I mean-
an absolute
I
decision.
mean, the one thing it is difficult with different quotes with different things, and I think in future, I think we should think about a tender return, so at least we can choose apples with apples, rather than just having it thrown at us. But saying that, I'd suggest to have an indicative design, you know, what we think of as the particular indicative design, and then we can decide on the quotes when we can get a little bit more grip on it, because it's different materials, it's, you know, and then we can think about it's got to be fitted, sighted, fitted, so all these things. So I think, well, my view is to have an idea of what we think of as a good design, and then at least that can be taken forward in more detail, rather than, you know, humming and ahhing now. Shall I put that forward as a proposal? I'll put that forward as a proposal.
I would agree with that, Mark, because I think, you know, as you said, it isn't quite for apples, as in all of this, because we've got, as we requested, some options in front of us and what we were doing, which is great. And it would be great to know what councillors feel the end design should be looking like, so we can compare some quotes for that. Should we give Michelle or whoever it may be at, to go and have a chat to the company and say, listen, we like this design. You each want a quote for something that is as close to this as possible. And then you've got some of the, I think, personally, I don't mind sending that out, it's already been said. My preference is this one.
In what colour?
Green.
In green?
Our colour is green anyway. And I think it's, it just fits with the environment.
Yeah.
That's, I wouldn't mind seeing if you disagree with me completely, please tell me.
Right, let's just have an indicative vote, a show of hands. Who likes that design? Right, that's all that one.
But if you want to make that as a,
No,
I can second.
Councillor Wenham has a different option.
No, I won't buy that option. The only thing is wording.
Yes.
It says historic town in the heart of Norfolk. I think it should be historic market town.
Yes, well, we've already
Yeah.
said that Market Town is imperative. Yeah. Councillor Lane.
If we're going to go back to tender on this, on the design, could we get also a smaller version like Councillor Leslie?
Well, I think first what we need to decide is where we're going to put them, measure up the space available.
This is 1.3 metres wide, isn't it? Oh, no, it's
Or higher.
1.3. The panel size is 1.3. So the overall width, looking at the, it's just over 1.5 metres. It's 5 foot wide with the post.
I'm just thinking on the Buckingham Road, maybe on the corner of Bank or somewhere like that.
That would work, and I know that
There's highway down again, isn't it?
Well, we found a corner.
The problem
it'd
is
be nice if they were all the same, because I think it's
you can't affect vision by the.
no, you can't.
I think there's sort of, should we wait for a third vote? Because due care on financial thing, we've decided on the design we like, so depending on what the third quote comes in, what design they have. And I think before we order anything, obviously, we need to decide where it's going to go and whether we've got space to put it.
If I'm happy to slightly adapt your proposal, if that's all right, Roger. I very much second that with the amendments to it, that we agree a design to go out for tender to obtain free quotes to put to full council as our recommendation, because it's pointless it coming back here when we've already in principle you agree the design, which will only then be presented to council for tender anyway, because it's a financial matter. So I'm happy that we approve an indicative design to go out to tender, so all three companies can have a look at this design, or companies that do this design to present at full council.
Second of that proposal? Yeah. Councillor Bond, anybody in favour? Anybody against? Right. Sorry, was that clear, Anne? So we did a lot of if you get confused, give us a shout. And this is the design with that one there.
Design
But with Market Town.
6B, design 1. In green,
Like that in Old England.
historic Market Town.
Right. On to the next bit, town sign upgrade done. Matters arising, paint railings update. There isn't one, is there? Apparently Michelle has tried to contact the youth offending thing and has had no response so far. So we'll pursue it and we'll have to defer that to come back to the next meeting. If we can't get any response, then we're going to have to look at getting our staff to do it.
Alternative. I do like the idea that Councillor Taylor had last time on.
Yeah.
That. It's a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
So I'd like to pursue it a little longer.
We did have, some young people for our shelters.
Yeah.
Is that a similar sort of idea? That was
Yeah.
a few years ago now, where they designed the bus shelters. That was a government scheme, I think.
I don't know if I know they have come out and done a lot of work before, because they've done some of the radios in the past. They've done the ones next to Tom's before, I know that much. But that was a long time ago now. The bus shelters, just while it is getting brought up, they do need a bit of TLC, especially one that's on Cypress Road, because it's got quite a bit of vandalism in it, and some of the things that are wrote in there are quite unpleasant. Like really quite unpleasant.
Do you mind if I ask a question? That's ownership of the shelters. It is us, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Those two, Queen's Square and Cypress Road.
Okay. Just checking that we weren't going to do something with that, get permission.
Yeah, so we're going to have to defer the railings issue until the next meeting, and hopefully by then we shall.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get some
Yeah.
information back.
It's probably an autumn job anyway, because the guys are busy enough this time of year anyway. Right, wildflowers at Gamers and copies at People Common, which are probably under the same thing. Informally after the meeting, Councillor Taylor, I said, could you have a word with breakfast? Did you ever manage?
Oh, I haven't, so sorry. I just haven't even given it any thought whatsoever. Is that about the seeds?
Yeah, whether they were proposed to provide any seeds or.
As well. I haven't, I can.
You can.
I mean, it might be worthwhile if we also have a look around at how much it would cost.
Yeah.
So that we have a backup plan as well, if we can't get any free. I mean, obviously, we will try and get something free. But, if not, we'll look. Can you, conveniently, I have had someone contact me within the last week offering some kind of support or sponsorship to like the In Bloom initiatives. So I might be able to explore that avenue as well. What kind of, do you know what I mean, if they'd be willing to contribute towards a project like this as well.
Right. So those again will have to be, we can make a note to try and get some quotes on seed availability, because how do we do that? There you go. And what quantity? Probably something that our groundsman could probably advise on. Right.
Yeah.
Who was first?
Well, I just give, it's not just seeds, is it? It's about.
It's about
It's the
preparing the
preparation.
ground and
You've
so
got to have a
we-
schedule for doing that,
Yeah.
because otherwise seeds are useless. So there's got to be some cultivation beforehand. And that needs to be priced in. It's going to be work.
we need to do some more research on this.
We can probably do it knowing the area. I know we've got the topographical survey done for Beacon Common field, so we can very easily work out to scale what sort of size that field is. Because say you'll need X amount of seed to cover X amount of area, and that's how the quotation will be. But if you've got the area you're wishing to do, then you can get an idea of the costs involved. So I know we can do that from the top for gamers. We probably need to determine what part of gamers we're doing.
Yeah.
Maybe something to, I wouldn't mind Bloom just wanted to go down and have a look and give us an indicative idea of what sort of area they want to do.
I would just off the top of my head say that the areas that are currently like meadow grass, that those areas that we've designated for biodiversity at Gamers, so that it doesn't impinge on many people's leisure or dog walking or sports or anything else. If it was to be restricted to the areas that are currently left with biodiversity, but just enhanced with wildflower is what I would recommend. That's my opinion.
I've got a measuring wheel, I think, on the checked areas.
That's very kind of them. I think,
Yeah, I think
I
it
think
gave us.
Yeah.
well,
if we can, yeah, the topographical swellings, it's
Yeah.
rather deeply done, but if we can get some idea, just an indicative idea from gamers, then it allows the staff who are going to go and ask the question on this. And I think the wildflower for gamers will be an injection of colour into it rather than blanket to blanket
Yeah.
flowers. It's with the meadow grass. It's an injection of wildflowers into it. Whereas the poppies might be a little bit more intensive from memory. But at least we can get that in measurements to the office and then work from there. Okay.
Yeah.
Lincoln?
So we'll let me know. So it's well defined, is it, Berlin?
Yeah, or if you, Andy, I'm free most days. If you just want to give me a text when you're free to go down there, I can meet you and have a look,
Do that.
measure it out.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you both. Muddy conditions dog walking area, London Road. We've had the consultation, yes, at the London Road Park. And one of the issues that was raised was the dog walking area gets very muddy. And I would add my personal support to that because that's where I often walk my little one. We were looking at some way of making it still usable in the winter. And this was obviously what Michelle proposed, that she's had at her farm. I think she's used it for putting inside the gate, so that which is where it gets very muddy and very churned up. But Councillor Westby has another suggestion.
Yeah, they look a bit unsightly, shall we say. And they're on the surface as well, aren't they? So they're going to be quite hard. I mean, what I've used in the past on schemes like that is something called bog pave, which is a cellular structure that you actually dig into the soil and then fill the pockets with gravel. I've seen that. And I just thought that would be a little bit more aesthetically pleasing, shall we say. Needs very little maintenance on it. I'll get some details for that, yeah. I meant to bring them up as well.
Councillor Lane?
Yeah, I was going to agree with Andy that I think we definitely need to do something there. And in talking to the dog walkers that came along to the information event, it's something that is particularly bad in the autumn, but obviously we can't see it at the moment. It's not autumn and it's certainly not raining, but that is an issue. But there were some other things that were brought up as well about the dog walking area that I wanted to raise. They have actually got the dog bin attached to the children's play area on the road, which is a bit unhygienic. So there was a request, could we actually look at possibly moving that? Resizing it. But the general feeling seems to be, and then also they were also talking about putting a dog bin. There's a little alleyway opposite there that walks through to what we call the sensory garden. And there is no dog waste in there either. And considering the amount of people around there that use have one walk, that they said it's a long way for people to walk. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I know exactly.
You know what I mean? So that's, I know.
And that was going to be my question. So obviously you've got an issue and paying them to be empty.
Well, we do own the century garden, don't we? So we could do something.
I think we have to ask permission to put a dog in on.
Could we look into that?
Yeah, and.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
certainly the relocation of the other one.
The dog bin rather than a dog one.
A dog waste bin, yeah. And the other thing is that I came across to myself through this information about talking to dog owners, there's a lot of people weren't aware of Dell or Decoy Common. I was wondering whether it would be prudent for us to publish a map of the town with dog walking areas highlighted on it for particularly an area like the Dell, which is suitable for dogs that don't particularly want to interact with other dogs. I don't know what anyone else information.
Yeah, we could, I mean, not trying to say, unnecessary work, but I do think it is a good idea to promote them. And even just a bit of a social media campaign, like go out, take some pictures of each one, so it shows that maybe some of people comment, some of the girls showing like this one's obviously better for, you know, exercise, this one's in trails, better for shy dogs, and try and promote the values of each one and what each one has to offer.
Yeah, yes to all the above. Just try to tie some of these things up. I agree with Anthony. I think having a look at that, yeah, the hexagon, whatever it is,
Yeah,
the honeycomb style. So I have seen it. It's worth investigating the costumes of that, bringing it back to ourselves. So yes, because it is more aesthetically pleasing. It keeps a grass look of the site whilst looking after the drainage. So yes, I'm happy to support us having a look at investigating that further. As far as the changing of the dog bin, I think that's okay. Are we all in agreement with that? Is that all right? It's within the license of general operations.
Yeah.
You know, we've agreed a dog bin there. It can be recited. I'm sure that's could just be put onto the project list. Something to do when we get the new site up.
Yeah.
And as far as advertising, I do agree. We could have a social media campaign. We do need to get a booklet together. We've kind of got the things in place, and the website is taking longer than it should do to get all the information onto it and together. As soon as we've got to go, we can do a bit of a launch, because there will be a site map on the new website which shows what things are available where in the town as well. So that could be advertised through that. Just one other thing that came through from the information stroke consultation meeting on the road. Very positive feedback from almost everyone. But we did get one complaint, and I feel it's fair to report that back to council. The property immediately adjacent to where the larger play equipment, that the siting the newer play equipment was there, complained that it was too close and too high relative to his property, which is, you know, a valid point, and something that we have to do in due consideration. We've been back to the supplier. There's no difference in price by resiting it further into the site behind the play equipment for that larger apparatus. In that little bit of a recess between where you've got the dog walkers, where dog legs, no pun intended, to the one side, and the end of the younger play area. Thinking of keeping that there to define the younger play area to keep them safe, but having that potentially sited behind it. I just wondered if councillors would be okay if we could just get the plan put together, and just to make sure you're happy to keep the neighbour happy, really.
Would reciting it like that solve his issue?
Solve his issue, yes. I would say solve. He wants to see the plan before he absolutely says, but it's in the location both he and his wife recommended we put it.
Right.
Okay?
And that won't cause us any extra?
No extra cost, no.
Yeah, I feel like we're getting a little bit off topic now, but I was just going to say, if you could get something put to the gentleman and his wife.
Yeah.
Before the next full council meeting, just put it on his license for.
That's what I was thinking of doing, but just out of the, I know
Tick
we were
the box
talking
and
about,
get it done, yeah.
I would just wanted to be open about the discussions because you want, for those who weren't there on the Saturday, just to engage you in the process. It was really, really well attended. And we had lots and lots of positive comments, in particularly about the disabled equipment on there. I mean, that was a very emotional moment when they realised that they'd been catered for. Brought tears to a few of our eyes, to be honest, when they saw that. So it was, yeah, it's great to see, but we're trying to be sensitive about how we implement it as well.
Thank you for the information.
But yes, to wrap it up,
Yeah.
I'm happy for those things.
Right, so let's go back to the item, which is muddy conditions at the dog walking area.
Yeah, sorry.
Which we will get another quote
Typical cats.
and we'll get
Good
information
idea.
through to Michelle, yourself, or whoever. And then we'll put it onto the next environment committee meeting. Right? Yeah, sorry. That's the way.
Jumping back to what Councillor Clare and myself were talking about, the dog walk area, I'm happy to put something together with you if you like now, because I'm aware that the new website is coming on board, and as you will have seen, so I'm sure you've listened to the recording or watched the last events meeting, we had made a decision that we were going to try and launch over the 1st of November.
Okay.
Website launch and newsletter launch for the 1st of November.
Lots of late nights,
With Michelle's agreement.
Michelle, we've got a coming plan. So if you want to get together and do some photos, and we can put something together on social media now, couldn't we, about dog walking? So I'm happy to do that, because you go dog walking, so you, yeah. You got dogs.
I was just going to say as well, if we are going to, seriously consider making these improvements, and we're going to get quotes for the next meeting, could we also just respond to the resident that's voting to give them an update and make them aware of what the next steps are as agreed tonight, that we're going to obviously review of the committee, that this is something we're going to give our consideration and we'll be getting quotes for the next meeting.
It was raised verbally during the
Okay,
information, so we didn't get anybody writing
I've
about
got some emailing, because they provided they sent in the images, didn't they?
Oh, you're talking about the muddy thing?
Yeah.
No, that is from Michelle.
Yeah, it's a report from Michelle.
Oh, okay, thanks, okay, no, yeah, my mistake.
Yes, Jim.
Completely different.
Yeah.
2 years ago, we had the same problem at Gamers. Right, Tim?
You are right, yeah.
What, muddy?
No, right where that building is for that. And nothing was done about that.
Is it still an issue at Gamers?
It can be. Right, as you go in the gate, you can't mark, it's the gate. You drill through where the change rooms are. It's to do with the drainage. And if you get sort of weather we had that yet, it will happen again.
Well, can I suggest then we go ahead, we can trial it, and then we can see
We'll try it
if
at
it's good, and
the,
then whether we got an option then to know
Because that,
cost for the game, per game.
there was a big inquiry about it.
So no, I remember the gate well.
We do that at London Road, you've got to have to do games as well.
well, we can try it at London Road and see if it works. And then if it does work, then we can look to see if it's necessary at Gamers.
There's actually quite a lot of our sites that suffer with that, like the entrance to the Dell, but a bit money as well, so it's probably.
Is that still an issue since the steps were put in?
Right by where the little walkway is before you turn into the Dell, that gets muddy down there.
We, sorry, I've just butted in. We did, previously talk about, and actually passed a motion, but it's just the work's been delayed, about boarding and gravelling that, top options that didn't really wear the top of the cemetery down to the entrance to the down. It's just been on the back
This could
burner.
be an option for implementing that as well,
Yeah,
because it probably is a very good and easy manageable system for doing it that site as well.
yeah.
if it works well, we could implement it on a few sites as well.
Correspondence. Don't think we have any, do we? No? Only the lady that brought her issue up, and she's about Harvard's Lane.
It's been discussed.
Yeah, that's been discussed. Items for inclusion in the next agenda. That's the name.
Jubilee Wood update. Wood update. Yeah. And the other one is if we could possibly start discussing the erection of flagpoles tonight, the time on building.
On the building.
It'd be interesting to find out the potential cost of, what the wood cost is. If we didn't do anything like that.
You mean horizontal flagpoles, not?
No, the ones that come out at an angle, the.
45-degree thing.
Well, the building.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a straight flag.
No. They did them for Jubilee and,
More.
and Windham. Did them, didn't they?
All right.
No, a different contractor.
I think that, Councillor Dale, who's not with us tonight, she said that what we need is a particular budget for Brexton to pay for that. I can't remember
Yeah.
what one.
That was the market issue with money.
I just think it'd be interesting to find out
That's how they chose to spend that.
what it would cost if we did the thing.
As far as I'm aware, I don't think we can use all of our allocation on the market town, but I'm not entirely sure.
That would be a question for Michelle.
I can let you know exactly how much.
So you're going to have flags in them all year round, or all in them?
So they've got to what?
They only use them, don't they, for like, the Jubilee.
They're out all the
Special
time.
occasion.
Yeah, the special occasions.
But do they have flags on them?
They're out all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know.
Whereas that
Well-
in Windham or
What, we're having one or two issues because the wind wraps them around the pole. We're trying to resolve that at the present time.
I just think for things like when they put the carnival and that, they could use them instead of having to put bunting up and be able to use, But just, I don't know how much it costs.
I was going to say,
Just be
let's
interested.
get an
Yeah.
indicative cost and see whether we've got any budget for it.
Or if anybody wants to do it.
Sorry, Councillor Tennant?
Yeah, I was just going to say, obviously, what issues to have those out all the time, but like Councillor Henry, they don't have to be, they can be taken down. And
Yeah.
then when there is a celebration or when there is something in town, once the brackets are there, they're there, they can be used.
There's a separate bracket as well, and the pole, so the bracket, you can take the pole off if you want to. So the bracket bolts to the wall and the pole slots into the bracket and then the flag hangs off the pole.
Yes, Councillor?
No, it's not an item for agenda, it's just an item I was going to raise. Several neighbours have said, what's happening at the Enterprise Centre, at the library? Water's coming out of it. It's an overflow pond. And I think, everyone's looking to save water and there's this overflow pipe, very, splashing water everywhere. I know that we've got a contact at exactly. I was going to say, if we can find out what's happening, so at least I can tell my neighbours what's happening.
And he said we are aware of it, we're doing the very best to get it sorted, they are waiting for balance, so.
Okay, so
They know about it.
they know about it, the part's on order, they're
They
waiting for
can't
the part.
turn the water off because of, I think it was water. Or some things that they-
Fair enough, but that's good, that's exactly what I was, so at least I can go back and say it's being looked at. That's good, thank you.
Yeah, well, I mean, quiet.
Yeah, well, quite, no, that's all we can do, that's good, thank you.
Sorry, I saw another hand here. Yeah, Joe?
Going back to the flagpoles. Windham used to put Christmas trees in them at Christmas.
Yeah?
Do they still do it? Do they still book it?
That I don't know, I don't certainly go to Windham that much, I'm a good bank. They do, or they did, but to me, that's just my opinion. They look cheap, nasty, personally. Because, their lives aren't as good as our guys and never will be.
Any other items for inclusion on the next agenda? Has anybody got anything else they would like to include? No? So the date and time of next meeting is 19th of September at 7 p.m. And look forward to seeing you all there. Close this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Because I've not, it's not here, but I've left my baby in my now. So that is that. Here we go.